Okay, this is Restored Republic via GCR, Sunday, January 17th, 2021. Okay, so the storm is upon us. You can go here. It's intelchronicles.blogspot.com. I can't post this on the NESARA site. They don't. It's against community standards. Okay, so the storm is upon us, and there's a video on that. Okay, so what we're going to read is the regular intel. Tentatively, we in T4B could receive Wells Fargo notification emails. Okay, we're always hearing that, right? We could receive them by this day or that day. It's because it's chaos magic. It's the art of surprise. Okay, Sunday, January 17th, onward and before, during the Wednesday so-called inauguration. The RV event schedule actually would be set by the quantum computer. I just love that everything is quantum right now and that our intentions are being read in our energy field. And so things are brought to us based on our intention and based on our frequency and our energy field, and that it's all quantum. It's just wonderful. Because of possible riots over the next 10 days, it was advised to stay out of urban areas, state capitals, D.C., especially mafia cartel, deep state like Philadelphia, New York, San Francisco, Seattle, and Los Angeles. We need 100% of the people indoors to see what the military is going to broadcast on everyone's TV sets worldwide. It's going to be very painful, but we can no longer have people divided. Around Sunday or Monday, POTUS will send out a message saying, "My fellow Americans, the storm is upon us." We will go to full global martial law. He will most likely be on Air Force One, sending out 7 presidential messages to everyone's phone and TV sets worldwide on the emergency broadcast system. All global military via U.S. military will shut down all media, all internet, social media, and TV programming, phones, all on one channel on emergency, the EMS. So that the U.S. military can broadcast 10 days of the storm, 10 days of sessions, 3-hour video confessions from military tribunals. There were lots of evidence for the scandals listed in the storm. While this is happening, the government will be making global arrests. Americans will be arrested around the globe, and people who participated in this coup attempt against the President of the United States. That was from a U.S. Air Force pilot. The free world, led by the U.S., was in war between good and evil. A Satan-worshipping cabal was trying to take us over using their international pedo gun-running, drug, and money-laundering ring since at least the end of World War II, and it has been run by the Vatican to blackmail political elites, mass media, and the U.S. court system to do their bidding. For over 35 years, and led by the Chinese Communist Party in cooperation with other communist nations, they have infiltrated all aspects of America with the goal of implementing socialism and taking over the U.S. To head the fight, President Trump has been designated as Commander-in-Chief over a worldwide organization globe and had use of different countries' military special op teams across the world. Over 20 years ago, the Q team formed, hooked up with hundreds of world leaders in the Global Alliance and formulated a plan to take down this cabal. Both sides were using dueling AI computing systems to plot their next move at light speed. So it's high quantum universal interdimensional chess, right? There was a mountain of evidence to prove that Democrats had colluded with foreign power to steal the 2020 presidential election from Trump to Biden. There was a boatload of evidence and investigations that showed that over 40 years ago, Biden and later Harris had been compromised by the Chinese Communist Party. Before the 2020 election, Trump cleared with the Supreme about the Constitution. If there was any foreign interference in the election, it would be declared null and void, and he would win by default. Now he had evidence that Italy, Spain, Germany, China, Canada, and the UK were involved in changing the fraudulent 2020 election where Trump voters were changed to Biden. Election fraud under an active state of war was considered treason. Pelosi and other members of Congress forfeited their rights and offices by committing this treason. They were no longer lawful members of Congress, thanks to Section 3 of the 14th Amendment, and considered enemies of the Republic who aided a foreign power in stealing the election. President Donald J. Trump was legally required to act on this because of his oath to the Constitution to protect our republic from enemies both foreign and domestic. Crimes on indictments of those involved read treason, sedition, and crimes against humanity. President Trump, the Q team, and Alliance's job was to wake up the American people as to this treason, so as to save America and the free world from a communist takeover. Dr. Peter Navarro investigated the 2020 election. That's at navarroreport.com. And then these are links that, like I said, I can't share any of them on the NASARA site. But you can go to intelchronicles.com and find these links. Noted attorney Lynn Wood wrote a summary of Trump's sting that would arrest the swamp. Make them commit treason, gather them in one place, such as the Biden inauguration, call for National Guard under the guise of riot control, arrest, detain, Guantanamo Bay. Over the next 2 weeks, we would learn shocking information about many of our government's officials and wealthy elite. Their involvement in a child sex trafficking ring and pedophilia ring was basic to their worship of satanic groups. So we've been watching this, and every year the Super Bowl is kind of the biggest human trafficking. So all these people and these children that have been 4 generations underground, and all of this dark magic, all of this has been cleared up over the last 4 years with Trump and the Galactic Council of Light, the Q, and the Alliance. This last week, a military intel contact, former covert operation agent Robert Steele, Simon Parks, Dr. Charlie Ward, Juan Savin, which many say is JFK Jr., attorney Lynn Wood, Ben Fulford, and former covert operations. I don't really like the Ben Fulford information, but it seems to be too human in 3D. Dr. Steve blah blah blah, okay, have revealed a mound of intel on an upcoming Great Awakening of America and people around the world on how the Chinese Communist Party planned to take over the free world. They started by fraudulently swinging Trump votes to Biden in 2020 election. Trump's sting. The whole 4 years has been a sting, right? We talked in the beginning about, everybody's like, well, why did he bring in Exxon? Why did he bring in this bad guy and this bad guy? Well, so they could have jurisdiction over him, so they could have a sting, so they could get him for new crimes. Okay, POTUS was in charge of a global sting operation to take down the cabal through exposing the fraudulent 2020 election. Trump has not conceded and would remain as president of the U.S. until a new election was held. Trump and the military white hats were executing a very deliberate plan to entrap Biden and the deep state rats in their own treasonous acts. The plan was laid out according to the 14th Amendment, Section 3, by which arrests would be legally executed at the time chosen by POTUS and the white hats. The attack on the cabal would start with a tweet that said something to the effect of, "My fellow Americans, the storm is upon us. Yahoo!" The Great Awakening would be ushered in with a broadcast of a panel discussion by Robert David Steele, Simon Parks, Dr. Charlie Ward, and Juan Savin. Right now, there was 25,000 troops in D.C. under the guise of riot control for inauguration. Meanwhile, Trump's people are staying home, right? More troops across the country were on 1-hour standby. All major Democratic cities, A&G brings National Guard troops to Washington. And so it is said that he called D.C. An emergency, and Trump called in the National Guard. Others say other people did. Nancy acts like they're her people and bringing them pizza and acting like they're so great. But it's my understanding that the Insurrection Act was signed pertaining D.C. and that the National Guard is federalized and Trump is the commander-in-chief of them all. And will remain so until all this corruption's cleaned up and there'll be new elections in March. Anyway, stay tuned, right? We're going to see. But okay, Trump was in charge of the National Guard in Washington, D.C. and was doing everything according to the Constitution. They knew who the dirtbags were in Washington, D.C., who were the ones in the middle, and who were the patriots. Trump has people to fill the voids of office if such occurred. He has replacement people on standby. There have been no preparations on Capitol Hill for Biden's inauguration, though there were 21,000 National Guardsmen surrounding Capitol Hill and the White House. The military has installed 10 miles of fencing with barbed wire around Capitol Hill. 10 miles, right? Wow. The inauguration parade was canceled weeks ago. Okay, they were supposed to rehearse. That was canceled. We don't know what would really occur on Wednesday, January 20th. I know, right? The anticipation is killing us. Okay. There was a real possibility that the people behind Biden, along with the fake news media, mass media, would create and carry a fake electronic Biden inauguration. If so, within 12 hours of that broadcast, the alliance would take down the mass media. Trump has said, this is a quote. I haven't seen this directly. I keep seeing this quote, but I have to find the... Anyway, I'm drafting an executive order to take the following propaganda media outlets off the airwaves: ABC, NBC, CBS, Fox News, CNN, and MSNBC. I'm also working with the FCC to pull their licenses. We have evidence that all of these media organizations employ agents of the Chinese Communist Party, as well as embedded CIA agents, whose sole purpose is to brainwash, hypnotize, and direct public opinion towards certain agendas that support the left and deep state. These organizations are a threat to national security, and virtually nothing they report is actual news. There would be a government shutdown at or about Wednesday, January 20th. In the days to follow, mass arrests of treasonous politicians and global elites worldwide would be in full force. There was 220,000 to 500,000 sealed indictments filed in federal courts across the nation since Trump took office. Since 2016, U.S. Attorney General for Utah, John Huber, and his 740 investigators had been very busy gathering intel, holding state grand juries, and filing their indictments. The indictments would be unsealed, served with deep states arrests up to 400 cities across the country. Among those on the list to be arrested were Biden, Obama, Harris, Cheney, and Chief Justice John Roberts. If the treasonous mass media continued to cover up what was really going on, the stations would be taken off the air. After which 10 days of media darkness was planned as the emergency broadcast system activated. Power outages may occur, but they would be kept to a minimum. TV, cell phones could go down worldwide. POTUS would put out 7 different messages on the emergency broadcast system. Declassification of long-held classified documents about treasonous acts by politicians will continue to come out via Fox News' Lou Dobbs. Disclosure videos would air for about 10 days that were said to be very upsetting and shocking. Several Democrats in D.C., mayors, 24 U.S. governors, and rhino Republicans were arrested some time ago, but it didn't become public knowledge until January 12th. The 24 U.S. governors were charged with treason. Their names appear on China Bank with money transfers. General Thomas McInerney was on the record to say the special forces captured computers belonging to members of Congress, including that of House Speaker Nancy Pelosi, on Wednesday, January 14th. These are filled with incriminating proof about election theft, etc. There was unconfirmed reports from CIA sources that Nancy Pelosi was subsequently arrested at the Canadian border. Okay. January 15th, they had issued indictments to members of Congress believed to have committed treason. When mass arrests were completed, 95% of politicians in Washington were said to be under arrest, most charged with treason. There were 800 FEMA camps built by the cabal across the nation that were now going to, along with a remodeled Gitmo, house those arrested. There were 3 scenarios for the inauguration. Trump would be inaugurated in the White House, Biden and deep state players arrested. Neither Trump nor Biden would be inaugurated. And there would be an announcement of a transitional government until election fraud evidence could be investigated and adjudicated by state legislatures in the 6 swing states. Now remember, folks, if you're following along, Russia, the government resigned yesterday or the day before. We got the Netherlands, we got Italy, we got governments around the world resigning. This is all part of Jassara. And it's so exciting. So exciting. Okay, so because the Deep State Corporation of 1871 was bankrupt and dissolved on Thursday, November 5th, 2020, the Deep State traders would be inaugurating Biden into a non-existent office to keep up the charade of power, control, and money faucets as long as possible. Okay. Trump was not running for just another 4-year election in 2016. Trump was approached by the military to run, and his entire win has been and still is a military operation. Trump's first 4 years was to drain the lower swamp first. like every meeting, every time he did a debate, and he'd just kind of be like, look, we got the stuff. That was all just to keep bringing people in to gather more intel. Trump's first 4 years was to drain the lower swamp first. The swamp was and is deep and incorporated every industry in the world: banking, movie, pharmaceutical, food, you name it, they controlled it. Much has been handled. Before leaving office, Barack Obama signed an executive order to pardon any prior of any crimes in the government. This is why no one was held accountable when Trump took office. You see, they had to get him for new crimes because Obama already pardoned him for everything. Okay, these swamp rats could not be tried for those crimes, like Hillary's email, the Clinton Foundation, FISA spying on the Trump campaign, all of that. They can't be held accountable for them because Obama already pardoned them. Okay, only crimes after Obama left office could be tried. Therefore, new crimes had to be snared. The military needed to catch them in the act committing crimes with proof. President Trump said in his speech on January 7th, there will be a smooth, orderly transition of power. And we know that that transition of power is to the military. This in no way means that President Trump is transitioning power from first term to Joe Biden. Did you hear him say Joe Biden? We are transitioning from the defunct USA Corp to the Republic, not to Biden. President Trump will not technically get a second term, as he tweeted, won't be at the inauguration day in January. This means there won't be an inauguration day. This was the last recorded term of a president who served in the American corporation. Just like that book I'm reading, I don't know if you've seen in this channel, written in the 1800s about Trump being the last president. So he'll be the last president and the first president. Okay, I guess they're saying it's 19th, though, of the Republic. So President Trump dismantled the Banking Act of 1781 from England. The United States is going back to being a republic, and Donald J. Trump will be the first president of the new republic with the Constitution fully intact. The start date for the new republic is March 4th. This was the original start date of the new president until it was changed under FDR. At the beginning of the President Trump's speech, he said, our incredible journey is just beginning. So that's not an ending, folks. No matter what it looks like, it's all optics. Military operations have thought of everything. Trump won in an overwhelming victory and will be president of the new republic. The swamp rats needed to commit their crimes during the last 4 years, and they have now been snared. Certifying a knowingly fraudulent election, as Pence and Congress just did, is treason. Now, President Trump is still the President of the United States until January 20th. He has the power to invoke the Insurrection Act. The Insurrection Act deals with treason at a military level. Why did the President not involve the Insurrection Act before? Because it involves the military, and people would have accused him of being a dictator. He has given everyone ample opportunity to come clean with the fraudulent election. The Supreme Court, the DOJ, the courts, Congress, and the Vice President, they all picked their lane for the most part and chose to certify a knowingly fraudulent election. Many Trump supporters have been pressured and threatened by the deep state. They always have. People appear to go against Trump have either been threatened or they are part of the deep state. People have picked their sides, picked their lanes. Do not underestimate the president and this military operation. Trump often appears a week before he wins. A week. Trump appears weak just before he wins. Just like in The Art of the Deal. Okay, Twitter and Facebook now banning and censoring the president. This gives the president the opportunity to use the emergency broadcast system. Okay, well, Facebook put him back and put him as a political candidate, and that's bringing to that to people's attention because he'd already done that a month or two before, and that was part of him stepping down and part of Nisara Jasara. But now it's becoming more obvious to more people with the political candidate part of it, because now they're paying attention. We were already paying attention. Trump has said over and over, we have it all, we have all the evidence. He also said, we will never surrender, and the best is yet to come. Do not watch or trust the mainstream media. They are deep state. Do not give up. Keep the faith. Trump took 75% of the vote. Trump has not conceded. Okay, the National Guard, we said that already. The rehearsal. Okay, so we don't know what's really going to occur January 20th. Okay. They might take down mass media. We don't really know what's going on. Okay, we've read all this stuff. This is just kind of a different format of it. POTUS just designated Cuba as a terrorist state. That was related to the election. More troops across the country. delisting all of the Chinese companies. The recent blackouts in the Vatican, Pakistan, and Iran were our Space Force. They took it out to, clean up corruption. Okay, 250,000. Don't be afraid of this. There are now 250,000 Chinese troops surrounding us. 75,000 in Canada and the rest in Mexico. They've been told if they step foot, they're going to be wiped out swiftly. And there was a whole bunch of Chinese troops that were already wiped out a couple months ago. So as soon as Biden's inaugurated, their plan was to come in and just control all us Trump supporters. But the good guys are in control, so just keep praying and holding the light. Okay. This election was cyber warfare on our country. COVID was a biological attack. Again, you can go and read more of the details of this at Intel Chronicles. It's the Restored Republic update for January 17th. Okay, biological, and they used the mail-in nationwide in order to pull off the steal along with Dominion machines. The virus was a man-made bioweapon created in a Wuhan lab to take out as many of our elderly and weak as possible. They needed the death counts to rise to continue their plan to take over our country and keep us in fear. This is why every death was marked as COVID-19 rather than anything else. The generals and General Flynn encouraged us all as patriots to resist all across the country. Go to church, open your businesses, resist. The Capitol building attack was Antifa and BLM driven, all tactical deception, as they call it in the military. There could be blackouts, internet down. We all know all that. Don't be afraid. I know the number of Chinese troops around us is a scary thing, but they are only coming if Biden was seated. Everything we are hearing and seeing in the news is all optics, and the corruption are in full panic in D.C. This war is all about implementing the new republic in order to introduce the world a new currency that is gold asset-backed and run on the new quantum financial system, which replaces the central banks and SWIFT. 209 countries have signed on. Okay, Secretary of State Mike Pompeo did the satellite test Monday, January 11th via Voice of America. So they're going to have their own satellite and their own way to communication, their own network, and bypass all of this dark. Oh, it's so exciting. So, okay, this was a test to see how many network channels would cover it, and there wasn't one. Ooh. They can circumvent big tech to communicate with the USA and Canada first priority, and the rest of the world using the new emergency alert system. Everything they are panicking about is the world finding out about their pedophilia and child sex trafficking rings they have all profited from for decades. Today we have seen executive orders for Georgia, Pennsylvania, Connecticut, Utah, and Louisiana, declaring them a state of emergency for disaster. This is for military to move into place, which will be completed by tonight. Been seeing those videos of all the tanks and everything moving in every direction. We may begin to see things as early as Saturday the 16th. We are hearing that it will become hot around the 18th and 19th. Oh, fun. Okay, Joe Biden gone mad after shocking crimes of revealed to Bill Barr's team. Okay, so these are some of the videos and other things you can link on. Conservative MP call for nationwide rollout of vitamin D tablets. Okay, like people, vitamin D, garlic, there's so many natural cures. Why would you depend on Western medicine for anything? There's no reason for any pharmaceutical drug. That's all brainwashing. You just need healers and, herbalists and people who raise your frequency and emotions changes and pharmaceutical drugs in any way are chemicals made by them to control you. Ugh. Okay, dirty bomb threat for America may explain Trump's delay in action. Have they found the bombs yet? The FBI, Antifa, and CNN are all conspiring to create a huge number of false flag shootings at state capitals in the coming week. It's all theater. So see all this stuff they're doing to check everybody. They're also keeping the media out because it was said that CNN was part of. They get their people to go in and cause mayhem, and then they get their cameras ready, and then they get their ratings, and they get their billions. BLM activists charged for instigating many elements of the Capitol riot. CNN promoted that same activist. CNN's Jade Sacker penetrated the Capitol with a member of the BLM, and they were on video saying, "We did it." CNN was in on the entire thing, staging it just like elements of Sandy Hook, which used crisis actors posing as parents or snipers. John Solomon reports on Lou Dobbs that Trump ordered declass of intelligence docs from Obamagate. And that's in other videos on this. You got to check those out. Okay. A bombshell revelation in the remaining FBI documents on Russia collusion shows that the entire narrative was created and leaked to the news media to neutralize Hillary Clinton's concern that her email scandal hadn't gone away. Former military personnel warns 75,000 Chinese troops. Okay, we already did that. China's bioweapon attack against us. Most actions won't be evident until the very last minute, perhaps the 19th or 20th. Can you just hardly stand the anticipation? Discussion of whether we are all being played by an elaborate psyop or whether there really is a military coup underway against the deep state. It's pick a side, pick a lane, pick your truth. Mexican president announces he will lead effort to halt big tech censorship. U.S. Navy plus U.S. Coast Guard involved in searching ships off the L.A. Long Beach harbor for weapons from China. Contributing to long delays for port access. Texas AG announces investigation into big tech censorship. Okay, Norwegian medicine agencies link 13 deaths to vaccines. People are dying all over from the vaccine. Check out all that stuff on that. Yeah. Okay, 100% confident that Trump would remain president. The date of that happened didn't make a difference because the U.S. was changing from corporate America to Republic of America. So now it's actually going to be by the people, not by the billionaires. And Trump signed those papers last July. Biden has been paid for by the Communist Party for over 40 years. Bought and paid for. He brought Obama into the fold. There was an ongoing criminal investigation on Biden, which actually disqualified him from running for president, but the mainstream media wouldn't cover it. The mainstream media has committed treason, and Trump was about to do something about it. The emergency broadcast system will be used for communication. In the first step, Trump will broadcast a presidential message. He will see which stations will broadcast it and which won't. The ones that don't will have their license revoked. Okay, false flag scares. POTUS with the Department of Justice White Hats had the nuclear codes. Trump's team would be controlling all military missions on Cheyenne Mountain, NORAD, and nearby Peterson Air Force Base, U.S. Northcom. POTUS would be moved around to secure locations. Okay, a lot of this we've already seen. And because we're so kind of dependent on this for the next step, they're not talking too much about the Dinar stuff, even though this is the Dinar intel and they usually do, but we need all of this stuff to happen, and it said it's going to kind of all happen at once. So, and then Pope Francis was arrested on 80 counts of indictment for child trafficking. Med beds were successfully being used for traumatized children. Okay. And let's see, we are going to stop it there. So God bless you all, and say a little prayer here. Great Spirit, God of all things, Mother God, Father God, I ask that you assist all involved to bring in the light, bring in the love. I ask that you protect all involved to the best of the ability. I send love and light to our ascension and peace, and that the most amount of people, well, people are going to get hurt. But I send love and light, and I ask that you help raise the vibration of all. In Jesus' name, amen.